Everybody, please help me welcome Shana Rehwald to the Heal with Kat podcast. Shana, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's such a joy to have a female entrepreneur and female founder on the podcast, specifically to talk about the topics we're going to talk about today, which is self-trust, building a vision and a brand. There's so many women in the world who are leaving their corporate jobs. They are going off on their own. They are looking to build a life that feels fulfilling and purposeful. And here you are doing it. And I know you're just going to share all of your wisdom with us.
I can't wait.
Tell us a little bit about your background. What brought you into Me-est Me and the work that you do now?
Yeah. So I actually built my career doing social media and marketing for fashion and wellness brands. And I did that for about a decade. In February of 2020, I got burnt out and I decided to quit my job in social media to pursue working in events. And 1 month later, the pandemic hit. So no event roles were on the table. During that same time, I was already going through a divorce with my now ex-husband. He was my partner for over a decade. So suddenly it's like peak pandemic, early pandemic. And the two things I had identified with most, my career and my marriage, had totally shifted. And both things were a part of my life for a third of my life. So I was like, who am I? What am I doing? What's going on here? I ended up years earlier. I read the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and I got really clear on my why then. And my why is to show up as the me-est me, the most honest, the most authentic, and the most comfortable version of me in every situation, and create space for you to do the same. So fast forward, it's early pandemic. I'm without a job. I'm in the midst of this divorce, and I decided to join this women's group online, this like online community of multi-passionate women. And I'm like, I don't really know what I'm bringing to the table. My life is so chaotic, but the one thing that I do know is my life motto is to be the me-est me. And I kind of explained what that meant. And one of the women in the group was like, Shana, I have really bad imposter syndrome. Someone like you could really help someone like me. Have you ever considered creating something out of this me-est me idea? And I was like, I don't even know what that would look like. But once I got separated, I ended up taking myself on this big self-discovery journey. I went on a solo trip to Palm Springs. I was listening to all that Esther Perel, and I was journaling a ton. And I ended up taking the tools that helped me and decided that I wanted to launch a guided journal. I didn't know anything about the paper industry, anything about creating my own product, but I just started cold emailing printers and just taking meetings and touching paper and really learning about this industry. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to just try and see what happens and create this guided journal. So I created the Me-est Me Journal. It's a workbook to reconnect with yourself. And it's really good for anyone who wants to check in, every year, every quarter, however often you want to check in with yourself to go through the prompts in the journal. But it's also really good if you're going through a major life transition. So whether you have moved to a new city, you're going through a breakup, a divorce, anything like that, a career change.
That's amazing. Okay, so we have a little crossover in our stories. So I got separated from my ex-husband and divorced in 2019 in December. Went
Oh my
into
God.
the pandemic. I was with him for 8.5 years.
Wow.
And then I went through a massive career change because I found family constellation therapy during the pandemic in 2020. I was doing social media for my family's wine brand and traveling. And then all of a sudden I had like trips planned to go international and I couldn't go anymore. So there's a lot of crossover in our stories, which is so
Oh my
cool.
God. That is so cool, Kat. I love that.
Well, but I think it's interesting to me because I continue to meet women who went through like a big awakening of some kind or a big transition in 2020. And for the last 5 years, we've been kind of grinding it out a little bit to bring this new version of ourselves into the world and what that looks like and to be of service. And so the Me-est Me Journal, first of all, I love the concept of it. I love the idea of it. I also love that it gets to be free. You kind of just get to use it whenever you feel like you need a check-in. Sometimes I'm like turned off by things that feel very like forced. I'm in a place in my life right now where I don't want to have to commit every single day. Kind of want to just like keep it open. So I love that. That is so cool. So tell us about the journal itself. Is it like the date and then you kind of like write a mantra? What is it? What does the practice look like?
Yeah. So the journal is completely undated and it's designed so you can choose your own adventure. So there's four different types of prompts in the journal. One prompt is really your typical reflection prompt. So it's a question and then there's lines to just write it out and respond to the question. Then there's exploration based prompts. So those are lists. So like make a list of everything that raises your energy, make a list of everything that drains you. Then we have prompts that are called gather prompts, and those are prompts that ask you to go off the page and sometimes come back to it. So an example of that would be like save like nice text messages or emails or testimonials, anything that you've received so you can come back to it. And then the fourth type of prompt is called play, and that's kind of a space to take a brain break and use the space however you want to. So each of those pages have like a triangle or a circle or some sort of shape, and then you can just use that space however you'd like. There's also 9 pages of original art throughout the journal and affirmations and kind of questions throughout it. So it's pretty inspiring and grounding. And that was really intentional. And it's gender neutral. So it's really great for anyone who wants to connect with themselves.
Yeah, I saw that your branding is really nice in the sense that it's like neutral browns and like these really neutral colors that it can be gifted or given to anybody who wants to use it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the goal. I honestly the majority of my audience is women, but there are men in my audience too, you know, non-binary people. It's really open to anybody who resonates with it.
That's cool. When you were creating the flow of the content that you fill out throughout the book, were you pulling from your own ideas? Like, how are you getting the inspiration to create everything inside of it?
Yeah, it was a lot of the prompts that I used and some additional ones that I just thought might be helpful. But it was something that I had created in Canva first. And I just like put all these ideas into Canva of like the look and feel of it. And then I hired a graphic designer to really help me bring it to life and make it look beautiful. I am not a graphic designer. I cannot do that stuff. But yeah, she really helped me find clarity on like the colors I wanted to use and like the vibe, but I knew that I wanted it to be like grounding and inspirational and accessible. That was something that was really important to me, like making journaling feel accessible and like you can do it your own way at any time.
Yeah, because I feel like there's kind of this like general about journaling these days. You know, like
Totally.
everyone's like, oh, like journal. Am I really going to get told to journal again? But there are like chapters of life where like just jotting everything down on the paper is really great. That's how I started using my intuition again, was like automatic writing. But sometimes it is so nice to have the kind of structure or like the container of letting your creativity come out in a different way, which I think is so cool. And we love Canva. What did we do before Canva? I have no clue.
Honestly, it's so crazy. Yeah, and, like, something that I really love about the Me-est Me Journal specifically is there's a lot of really aesthetically pleasing journals out there with only, like, a few lines for you to reflect, and I really wanted there to be pages for you to reflect. So, like, you could really pour your heart out onto the page or, like, allow whatever is coming up to come up for you and take up space. Like, that was really important to me.
As women, we need that permission.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so love the journal. Everyone who's feeling curious about it, we'll put the links in the show notes below so people can check it out while they're listening. But I want to get into some of like the business building and the self-image and all of that because that really resonated with me. I'm in owning my second business technically, and I really resonated with a lot of the struggles that you've helped women walk through, and I still do to this day. You've shared before that you never saw yourself as like a strong decision maker. I read some of your bio and was kind of looking at some of your story. What helped you start building self-trust? And can you walk us through a big decision where you had to really lean into your gut in building this business?
Yeah. Okay. So I think for me, my initial like start of my relationship of building self-trust happened when I was recognizing the same patterns showing up in my marriage over and over again. And then separately, the same kind of patterns were showing up in my work. Not the same patterns, but patterns for each of those things continued to show up until it kind of came to be like, holy shit, I have to face it. I need to do something about this. And so that's when I started. It was really when I took that self discovery journey and started journaling and started really connecting with myself that I was like, okay, this is what I need to do in order to build the self-trust, in order to take the leap, in order to find the confidence to be able to decide that I no longer want that career that I built anymore, even though I've been building it for 10 years. Like having the clarity to realize that it's no longer aligned and being okay with that and being able to trust myself to build something completely new from scratch, pretty powerful. And then when it comes to a big like decision I had to make surrounding my business, something actually just recently came up for me. I recently moved from Austin, Texas, back home to California. I'm from LA originally. I'm making my way back to LA. And when I was in Austin, I really felt like I squeezed all the juice out of the city. And I was really grateful for the experience. And it really helped me understand how to use my natural skill set at work. While I was there, I got an opportunity to work at the Kendra Scott Women's Entrepreneurial Leadership Institute at UT Austin. And I helped build their founder program there. And that's a program that supports over 150 early stage founders have gone through the program. And so I really got to learn my natural skill set in this environment that I'm really good at networking and building community and holding space and making connections for people. So I decided from there that I really wanted mentorship and working with entrepreneurs to be part of my business with Me-est Me. So much of the conversations I was having surrounding connecting with yourself really helped me figure out how to build my business. I learned that when you create a consistent practice of reconnecting with yourself, whether that's through journaling or meditating or hot girl walks, whatever your thing is, you can build self-trust, you can build confidence, you can become a better decision maker, and you can ease imposter syndrome. And so I realized that I wanted to help founders and entrepreneurs and freelancers and students with those same tools.
So going back to the self-trust thing, curious what your thoughts are on this. I never really knew how to define trust until my fiance said that trust is time plus consistency. And if you can spend the time being consistent, then you learn to like trust things. Did you experience that? And I mean, because building a business, anyone who's listening also will resonate. You don't see the flower. You plant the seed and you see the flower like 5, 6 years later. You have to be so committed to what you're doing to really see it through if it's worth sticking around for. And even then, sometimes it's 10 years. Some founders have gone 10 years trying to believe in their business. So, yeah, I'd love to expand on that a little bit and your thoughts on it.
I love that. Consistency plus time.
Yeah.
I feel like that to me feels so clear. I really, really resonate with that. I think when it comes to your business and like building self-trust while building a business, you get these little signs or these little nuggets that you're on your path, that you're doing the right thing. I think for me, I decided to launch a guided journal out of thin air. And I'm sure my friends were like, what the heck is Shana doing? But pretty soon after I launched it, I partnered with the fashion brand The Great, and I got featured in Cosmo. And then Urban Outfitters reached out to me and they wanted to carry my journal. And I was like, okay, this is resonating with people. I have to keep going. So I think that helps build trust too, is like getting a sign you're on the right path.
Yeah. Just a little intuitive thought for you as well. Have you ever explored TikTok Shop?
That is something that's come up a couple times in the last week. So I think that I need to.
Shana and I were talking a little bit earlier before we started recording how I've officially left Instagram. I'm no longer operating my business on Instagram, and it's been so freeing. So that's why I brought it up for the listener, just so you know that's where we're going. But yeah.
No, I'm so here for TikTok Shop. I just got to set it up, honestly.
TikTok Shop, and like let me know if you want me to post some stuff and be like, hey, TikTok the journal, let me know. Like we should talk, honestly, because I really love what you're doing. It's so special. And I think when it meets the right person at the right time, it can just be so transformative, because really it sounds like what the journal is doing is it's just guiding people into themselves more. And I think we need that more than ever right now.
Yeah, I've been learning so much. I've been talking a lot about how self-trust helps you become a better decision maker. And I actually just wrote a keynote about becoming a better decision maker that I launched as a workshop first. Currently, I'm selling it on my website, me-est-me.com. But I've learned that building self-trust can help you become a better decision maker and can help you get like really clear and really discerning when making decisions surrounding your business, big or small, because it is really that like gut check of being like, yes or no, and it makes it so much easier when you are in tune with yourself to be able to, yeah, be like, this feels totally aligned or this doesn't feel aligned, and be able to know pretty fast.
I will say one of the biggest struggles I had when I had my denim company in my early 20s was making decisions and having discernment and not knowing if I was going to make a decision that would totally flop everything or if it was like
Yeah.
the greatest decision ever. But yeah, I think going back to the self trust thing, it just takes time. And also, would love to hear your thoughts on accepting that you're going to make a lousy decision or a mistake, or you're going to decide on something and it's not going to work, and not like beating yourself up over it or letting it define your self-worth.
Exactly. I think that if you make a decision that doesn't feel right or doesn't pan out the way you need to, you could take some time to like mourn and feel bad about it. Like, I think that's okay, but being an entrepreneur is about that bounce back. It's like you got to just bounce back and you got to keep going, because it's just about iterating and pivoting and figuring out what does work. So, for example, I launched as a product brand, and then I really leaned into being more of a service provider. But recently, I've decided that I feel more inspired on the product side of things. So, I'm actually working on a rebrand and a relaunch for a Me-est Me Journal 2.0
Nice.
and a couple other products, because I feel way more called to that. And that feels like it comes with ease in a way that some of this other service provider one on one stuff doesn't come as easily or doesn't light me up as much. So I feel like it's taking those signs or taking those, that intuition or those like gut feelings of being like, you know what, maybe it is time to go all in on this thing again.
Well, you're just putting yourself out there, which I think is really scary for entrepreneurship or just being somebody, even service based entrepreneurs, like putting yourself out to be seen by a lot of people. And, I feel like a lot of us show up at different points on our journey. So the way I showed up 2 years ago is so different from how I may show up now. And so people, I feel like they're always waiting for like the perfect time to put themselves out
Yeah.
there. And I feel like sometimes you just have to put yourself out there and people are just going to either grow with you in your brand or they're not. And like you'll just attract people when they're meant to. I think many people struggle with putting themselves out there, especially in like a vulnerable, real way when they're talking about things like self growth or
Yeah.
development or their feelings. So, what would you say to someone who wants to show up more authentically, but really sort of fears like that external judgment or not being expert enough? Hey everyone, Kat popping in during the episode today to share that I have something so exciting to announce. I just launched a brand new series of meditations on Insight Timer, the world's #1 meditation app with over 31 million users. I'll be releasing 10 new meditations every month now through August. And the best part? They're totally free, including downloading the app. The guided meditations on Insight Timer aren't just about ancestral healing. They're designed to help you understand how inherited patterns, pain, fears, or choices show up in your everyday life, your relationships, your self-worth, parenting experiences, or even your health. Each one gently helps you untangle those threads so you can move forward feeling more grounded, clear, and connected. Just download the Insight Timer app, search my name, Kat Dow, or click the link in the show notes below. Make sure you're subscribed to my email newsletter to get updates every month on the new meditations coming to your phone soon. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah. This is actually a conversation that I had with a business coach that I hired a couple of years ago, because I also had that same fear. I was like, how do I position myself as an expert when I don't totally feel like one, and I do feel like there's a lot more to learn? And she was like, Shauna, you don't need to own the conversation. The conversation's already out there. You just have to contribute. You just have to share your unique perspective, and that's it. You don't have to take full ownership of this topic because it's so big. How can you even? So it's really about just introducing your unique perspective, because your perspective, your experiences, who you are. You may say something that someone may have heard from so many other people, but the way that you said it resonates with them this time. And so to me, I kind of had to get over that fear of being seen and that fear of not feeling like an expert, because I think once you show up, and just by showing up, You are the authority, and that is how you lead. Just by showing up, you are a leader.
That's so powerful. And I think something I was kind of thinking about when you were chatting is that our world, because of social media, is so infiltrated with so many different voices. It's impossible to be the first person to say that thing for the first time, right? Like, you're never going to be, at least I feel, you're never going to be the only first person to say something on your newsletter, your marketing, your branding, right? But it's like you said, when it comes through you, you're what makes it different. You're what makes it unique. So, like, really leaning into yourself and trusting that the way you feel inspired to bring it to the world is how people are needing to experience it.
Yeah. And like, let's take some of the pressure off. It's like we don't need to own the full topic, the full conversation. We don't need to be the only freaking expert. We can just contribute to the conversation that's already happening.
I took a deep breath when you said that. I was like, "Oh yeah, Catherine, stop doing that to yourself." It's so easy to do though. And I
Totally.
think, for me, I get really psyched about like and excited about telling people things, and so I just want to like tell everybody about it. And sometimes it's like, all right, write it out a little bit and then like share it with the world, and whoever's going to like it is going to like it. And there's always going to be people who don't like it.
Totally. I agree. I think about this often when it comes to unsubscribes from my email list. And I'm like, oh my God, 10 people unsubscribed today or whatever it is. And then kind of shifting my mindset to being like, you know what? Those 10 people weren't aligned. And the right people are going to find me and resonate with what I'm saying. And those 10 people might even come right back around in the future when it's time for us to reconnect, or maybe never again. And that's okay.
Yeah, and I think if someone's listening, I'm going to say this for myself too, and you for because you were in the service section of things, but if someone's listening who's more of like a service thought leader, maybe they got exactly what they needed from you. And maybe they're
Yeah.
unsubscribing because you took them a little bit farther on their journey and now they just don't need anything else. They've like, okay, I got what I needed. Now I'm going to move on. Like sometimes it's not always about us and how personal we make it.
Yeah. I love that.
In your career, you've supported both early stage founders and experienced leaders. So I'm sure that comes with a lot of different knowledge and wisdom. What are some of the common struggles that you've seen when it comes to confidence, clarity, or burnout?
Yeah. Something that I see often is people trying to force clarity. They're really trying to find clarity. They're trying to force clarity. They really want to figure out what's next. They like feel it, when people are feeling stuck, they're just like desperately seeking clarity. And I have also been there. And to those people, I want to say just gather more data. You don't know enough, so just gather more data. And I think this is another one where it's like between gathering more data and time, clarity will come. But I'm very much at the mindset of like not forcing things and allowing them to come with ease and kind of taking a step back and being like, okay, I need to gather more info, gather more data on this topic, and clarity will always show up.
Yeah, and how do you navigate getting like a really great download on something and like a really great idea and then like not acting on it immediately? Like some things need a little time to like simmer, before sharing.
I think it depends on what it is. Sometimes I do act immediately and I'm like, I'm the type of person that once I make a decision about something, I'm like, I'm fucking doing it.
Yeah.
This is happening. But some things truly do take time. Like I decided I wanted to do a rebrand and a relaunch of the Me-est Me Journal. And that's going to take a little bit of time because now I need to, rewrite it and figure out what that's going to look like, work with a graphic designer, work with a printer and, bring it to life. And that's not something that happens in an hour or in a day.
Yeah, it's so true. How have you learned to help guide people back to themselves when they've lost that connection to not just themselves, but kind of the creative process of their thoughts? Because I think what we're really talking about is like when you are creative, it is a form of clarity, it is a form of truth. And sometimes we have to like move through that in a different way.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I recommend the Me-est Me Journal because I think it truly can help you reconnect with yourself, or just creating a consistent practice of you time.
Right.
So, whether that is a 10-minute meditation or breathwork practice in the morning, or going on a walk without headphones on, or taking a swim, whatever your thing is, make sure that you can be fully present in it. So, just creating that consistent practice of presence with yourself so you can actually be able to tune into yourself and hear yourself. I think we're getting so much outside noise, so many outside opinions. It's so overstimulating in the world that we're in today. So being present is kind of the antidote to that.
You know, I've interviewed now over 100 people for my podcast, and I've interviewed people from entrepreneurs to psychic mediums to mindset coaches to you name it. I've had them all. And the one consistent piece of information that every single person across all different careers says is make time to quiet your mind,
Yeah.
because the power of clarity and creativity and knowing your truest self comes from quieting the mind. And you know, it's interesting that you're saying that now, because I'm like, this is what I hear almost every episode. If you listen to the Heal with Kat podcast often enough, you will know what I'm talking about. Everybody says quiet the mind.
Yeah. And, that practice can change. Like, I had a really clear practice in Austin where I would meditate for 5 minutes in the morning and then I would do a 20-minute workout. I've since been living in the desert in Palm Springs over the summer, and my practice has changed to doing 10 minutes of breath work and 10 minutes of legs up the wall. And then I'll journal once in a while too. And so it's like, your practice is allowed to change and shift with you. I also am living with a pool. So some mornings I'll wake up and jump in the pool and do 20 minutes of laps and swimming in the pool. And that's my me time. So your practice can evolve as you evolve, and it can change seasonally.
Yeah, I hear that. Mine's been a little wonky lately, but usually it's red light, and then I bought the vibration plate that you stand on because I like
Yes.
need to keep my lymphatic system going because I'm recovering from some autoimmune stuff right now. And I swear,
Okay.
standing in front of the red light with that vibe plate, it's not meditative, but man, it really quiets the mind and helps me just like lock into myself. Yeah, so it can look however you want it to look.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whatever, even if it's just 10 minutes, I feel like just start the practice.
I know there are some seasons in life where like I'm willing to do like a 30, 40 minute meditation. And then lately it's just like I got 5 to 10 minutes. So what are we going to do in 5 to 10 minutes?
And I think that's okay. I think make it work for you, because I think even just setting aside that time that's that consistency, right?
What are the other benefits as an entrepreneur and founder that you've noticed when it comes to quieting the mind and really finding your connection to yourself?
Well, I think that you can really tune into yourself and kind of figure out what you want. I think you can get away from that comparison trap. I think you can ease imposter syndrome, because if you are so tuned in and know exactly where you're headed, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And I think it's about being able to take a no and realize, and like not taking a no so personally, and being able to realize that, like, oh, a no just means they're not aligned, or like an unsubscribe just means they're not aligned. So little things like that.
Yeah, I like that. How can someone start aligning their business and their brand more with their personal values, especially if they feel like they've been making decisions from fear or pressure or external people or things? Because I think that's really easy to do too. You know, you hear like, here's a trend report of like what's going on, and you're like, oh God, should I be doing this? And it's like, no, just how do you stay true to you? Like, what works for you?
Yeah, this is a great question. I actually have led some corporate workshops, and one of them that I did was about aligning your professional and your personal values. And so in my workshop, I like to, and the listener can do this, you can create two columns, one of your personal values, one of your professional values, and or your business values, and look online for a list of personal values. And then write down 5 to 10 of those personal values in like the left column. And on the right column, those will be your business values. So look online for a list of business values and make a list of 5 to 10 that resonate with you. Then you take a look at both of those columns and you're going to draw a line from the personal to the business and see what correlates. So for me, my personal value is autonomy. And that connects to my business value of the entrepreneurial mindset or entrepreneurial spirit. For me, a personal value is meaningful work, but a business value is creating a positive impact. So, kind of figuring out how you can bridge the gap. Like another one is stability. So, for me, a personal value is stability, professional is structure. So, really like seeing where those things connect. And if there's many of them that don't, I think it's about looking at your list of values and figuring out what can shift to have them have a little bit more overlap. So you are bridging the gap between your personal values and your business values.
And then your business ends up being more authentic to you.
Exactly.
And then you call in people who are in alignment with those values.
Yes.
I love Brene Brown's value list. That was a good one. I actually, it's so interesting. There's so much crossover with our beliefs, I guess, and like how we do things. But a lot of times when people come to me for family constellation therapy for romantic relationships, they're struggling with romantic relationships. So we're trying to understand how, maybe they're rechoosing their parent in a romantic relationship, or there's like unhealed family dynamics around relationships. And if they're single and they're like, I don't really know what I should attract, I always say, write down a list of all of your values and all the things that you need in a relationship, and then circle the ones that you can do for yourself. And then whatever you can't do for yourself, that's what you would need from a partner. So like, I can give
Love.
myself a hug, but I would prefer to get one from my partner. Like, I can
Totally.
take out the trash myself, but I would also, you just kind of figure out what aligns. And I found a very aligned relationship when I realized that I was asking my partners in the past to meet needs that I could easily meet for myself. I was just lazy and traumatized.
That's so funny.
But I think what you're really saying, what we're both really saying here, is just accountability also.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on accountability as an entrepreneur? Because I think that's kind of a tough one too.
I really appreciate accountability. I love having accountability partners that are entrepreneurs. Something that I recently launched in partnership with my friend Tia. She has a business called Freelancing Females. It's the biggest global community of women who freelance. Freelancing Females and Me-est Me has partnered to offer 6 weeks of mentorship, accountability, and community. It's actually launching August 5th. And so we're accepting signups right now, but it's basically 6 weeks. And there's about 4 to 6 people in each group, and each person gets to come to the table with something they want to work on with the group that day. So then everyone gets to share the things that they want to work on, give advice, brainstorm, help them, connect them with whoever they need to be connected to. And then you have to set an accountability item. So 1 or 2 things you want to get done until we meet again. And so this format has worked really well for me. This is something that I have done personally with entrepreneurial friends in Austin. And so my friend Tia was a part of this group, and she was like, we need to bring this to my community and let's do this. So I am all for accountability. I love having accountability partners. I feel like it just helps you. Yeah, I don't know. It can be really isolating being a freelancer or being an entrepreneur, and you're really in your own brain. It's such a roller coaster that being able to talk to other people who get it is game changing.
Yeah. Yeah. And also probably builds community, and people want to feel like they're in a community of people who understand them, where they feel like they fit in, they belong, and that there's
Yeah.
growth with it too. That's awesome. I love that. Um,
Yeah.
okay. So going back to Me-est Me, you've built Me-est Me not just to be a product, but as a platform and a community. So what role does community play in self-trust for you and for career expansion?
Yeah, I feel like when you are in community, you are surrounded by people who could potentially be expanders for you. So it's by being in community that you can see what's possible for yourself. So, an example for me is when I worked at the Kendra Scott Women's Entrepreneurial Leadership Institute, we call it KSWLE for short. I worked part time with benefits. I didn't even know that that kind of role existed. But I was in a community with a girl who had a role where she worked part time with benefits. And it was through seeing that she had that kind of role that I even knew it existed. I didn't even know that was a thing. And so I think being in community can help you see what's possible for yourself.
Yeah, there's people out in the world like you, like Jennifer from Guided, who are really good at building community. And then there's people like me who I'm not great at it. I could definitely be better at it. I'm way more like one on one, just different. And so like I always admire people who are like willing to throw themselves out there in community. And it's actually beautiful because where I hold myself back, there's been people who are really good at building community who will kind of uplift my voice and kind of help me expand and see like, look, community is, you can put yourself out there. It's okay. And I'm like, okay, maybe. So yeah, I love that you say community in that way and really describe it.
Yeah, I freaking love being a part of communities, and I think when you find ones that resonate with you, it just feels good to be supported in that way. And yeah, sometimes I miss having coworkers, miss having colleagues from working in corporate, but I don't really miss very much else about it. And so being able to be in community is just helpful to be like, "Hey, can we talk about this email or this collab opportunity that came my way? Like, am I crazy?" Super, super helpful.
What has been the coolest opportunity that you've gotten to do with Me-est Me?
The coolest opportunity I've gotten to do with Me-est Me. Ooh. Okay, well, I think one of the coolest things is that the Me-est Me Journal was voted one of the best guided journals by Shape Magazine, Self Magazine, and Real Simple. And we were on the same best guided journal list as Michelle Obama and Glennon Doyle's journals.
Hello. Like ring that bell. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a really, really cool moment. And so I think that was a really cool opportunity. Another opportunity that came my way that didn't have anything to do with Me-est Me, but everything to do with me showing up online because of the business I was building is Meta reached out to me a couple years ago to create some Reels ads for them. And they literally hired me as an actress to do Reels ads for their ads platform. And it was all because I was showing up online and I was talking about my business and I was just showing up consistently, and they discovered me. And that kind of opened up my mind to anything is possible. Anything can happen.
That is crazy. Do you like call that stuff in? Like, how do you get these opportunities? Is it just networking, connecting with people?
I think the Meta thing came out of thin air. I have no freaking clue. The press stuff, a lot of that I have done cold outreach for. But like press brings in more press. But early on during the pandemic, I actually did a trade with a friend who's a PR professional, and she taught me all about how to do my own PR, and I taught her how to create her own journal. And so we'd basically have these weekly calls where we'd speak on the phone for an hour or 2 hours. And one week was focused just on helping her, and the other week was focused just on helping me. So she really helped me understand exactly what to say. And I actually created this cold email template that's literally 5 sentences only of how to reach out to an editor, reach out to an influencer, reach out, just do a cold email that actually lands and gets a response.
You want to share that with me offline? Uh,
But I mean, I can share a little bit about what's included, but basically, you want to make sure that you're reaching the right person. You want to make sure that you're emailing the person that is going to resonate with what you're saying. You want to get your message really clear. You want to have your elevator pitch down or whatever you're trying to say really freaking clear. You want to give context. A lot of people get emails with zero context to who you are, what you're selling, what you're creating. So you want to give them some notable context. You want to share any like brand values or things that make you stand out. For me, the Me-est Me Journal, we're women owned, LGBTQ plus owned, and we're made in California. So those are like three really amazing things that I can stand on and be proud of. And if you're reaching out to an editor, you also want to make sure that you are gifting them your product so they can understand how it works and what it's about. But yeah, that's kind of like my cold email, what should be included.
That's so interesting because, yeah, like I pitch myself to other podcasts and the emails are a little long, so I probably could shorten them a little bit. But podcasts, I feel like are hit or miss because the number one response I get is, we're not looking for guests this season. And I'm like, no one's ever looking for guests. Like, it's like the one
Yeah.
thing everybody says. And I'm like, one day somebody will be looking for a guest like me on their podcast.
You're like, I will be there. Okay, well, let's talk offline about it. Because I'm curious about what you do, and I also do podcast guesting outreach, and I have like a deck that I've now included
Oh,
of specific topics just to kind of like help help the receiver understand me right out the gate.
Yeah, we should definitely chat because I'm at the point now where I was gonna like drop some cash for like a PR publicist or like a company, like like I was gonna do some big investing on like getting just a team of people to just like get me on like 3 big podcasts. I don't care, just like 3 big ones, and then like that'll be good. Like
We'll see what happens.
just see what
Yeah.
happens, and it's like, yeah, it can be. And this is the part of the entrepreneur. It's like continuing to be resourceful, continuing to trust the journey, to trust that, you're doing this for a reason. And I also think timing is a huge part of it too. Like divine timing is a huge part of it too. So I'm not giving up.
Yeah, don't give up. That's the main thing here, especially as an entrepreneur. It's like, just don't give up. You hear these stories of all of these incredible entrepreneurs who have been at this for like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and they just didn't ever give up.
Well, Oprah didn't make it, until her 40s or 50s or something like that, was it? Her 40s? Yeah. So I'm not going to give up, but I love that. Yeah, I would love to talk offline because something's not sticking for some reason, and I'm willing to learn something new. So,
All right,
okay.
let's do it.
So my last question for you. What does being your Me-est Me mean to you today, and how has it evolved since launching the journal in 2011?
Ooh, I love that. So the Me-est Me has always been about showing up as my most authentic, most comfortable, most honest self in every situation and creating the space for you to do the same. It originated because I was realizing that I was creating space for people to tell me their deepest secrets almost upon meeting me. Like I don't know what it was, but I was able to create this really comfortable and like vulnerable space that people were sharing their secrets with me before even telling their family or their closest friends. And I was like, there must be something happening here. So I've realized that literally just by me showing up as the realest version of me, I'm giving space for people to show up that way too. And I freaking love that. I like thrive in that kind of space. Now, the way that it's evolved and the way that it's showing up is when I lead workshops, I'm sharing my story, I'm getting vulnerable and really like setting the stage to create that space for vulnerability for people to share later on. When I'm trying to be showing up online more, and one of the things I've been doing lately is just showing up on TikTok and doing one take and uploading it right after. And literally that is how I can show up as my Me-est Me because I'm not editing it. I'm not retaking it. It's literally just one take about whatever's coming to mind and I post it. So I think it's about showing up authentically online as well and creating space for that. And then also showing up IRL. I want to be creating more community events and having these conversations in person. I hosted an event in Austin right before I left with my friend Jara Bean, and she is a social media educator and just a freaking badass. And we had a whole conversation about showing up online. And once it came to audience Q&A, we were talking with the audience and then the audience were asking themselves questions. The room ended up just being this like really comfy, open conversation pit almost. It was incredible.
I love that. Oh my gosh. That's so special because it really feels like what you're saying is the original idea of Me-est Me has truly moved through you. It's really like you can see you are such a good example of what the journal can do is it really just helps your light shine and be more in touch with who you are.
And I think that if I create space for you to show up as yourself, you can create space for others to do that with you. And like ideally, we create this domino effect where we can all show up as our most honest, most comfortable, most authentic selves. Because when you do that, that is when you are living most in alignment. And like that's when things feel really freaking good.
And the vibes don't lie. You will attract people based on your vibe. Oh my gosh. This has been such a fun conversation about entrepreneurship and your journey. And it's been so like awe-inspiring. Share with the community where they can connect with you, where they can buy their journal and all the things.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Shana Rehwald. That's SHANA REHWALD. And meestme.com, MEESTME.com.
Easy enough, guys. All right, you know what to do. Go visit her pages, go give her a follow, go buy your journal. And as always, thank you for showing up this week on the Heal with Kat podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. I know we're asking a lot of you, but when you engage with us, when you help our brands and our businesses grow, it really is such a meaningful little thing that you can do so that we can get our messages out in the world. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week on the Heal with Kat podcast.